Hello class. So today I would just like to do a little rundown on the Po-Shen-Loh method in solving quadratic equations. And okay, let's just get right to it. So this should just be, I'll just take two examples on how to apply the Po-Shen-Loh method. It's kind of similar with, it took some similarities with completing the square method and also with the well, quadratic is always has similarities to each other. So let's take the first question. Now, let's say we ask to solve x squared. Let me see what I have on my book. Okay, minus 5x minus 14 is equal to 0. So let's solve for this quadratic equation. I want to apply the Po-Shen-Loh method. Now the first thing we'll look out for is this a unity? So is this in a unity form? That's our a value a 1. So if it's not a 1, then we have to divide 2. But if it's a 1, then we continue. So since it's a 1, we can see that the a value here is a 1. So we proceed further. Now proceeding further, we now come to our b part. Our b value, you take a half of it. Now the b value must always be positive. That's even if you're having a negative value here like we're having here right now, don't worry about if it's a negative value, just take the b value as positive. Is that okay? Okay, so that's the continuation. So we have our b value dividing by 2 be what? 5 over 2, right? That's 5 divided by 2. So that's our new b value. Then we get our c value. Our c value is what? Minus 14. So this is the only one. So this is where we make sure that if it's a negative, we put it as a negative. So what's then the next thing we do? The next thing we have to do is then form um, the two squares we are looking for. So these are the two squares. So we have 5 over 2 plus u, and then 5 over 2 minus u is equal to minus 14. Okay, so now this is what we do here now. Since look at this looks like what? A difference of two squares, right? Because they are the same values but just having different signs. That's how you know a difference of two squares. Now what do I say we do in the difference of two squares? I explained this in our question and answers session just before this particular topic. So in our question and answer session, I told you that when you have a difference of two squares, you just square the both of the square each of them. That's take the first value and square it. So that will be 5 over 2 square will be what? 25 over 4. And then take the second value and square it. U square, u will just be u square, but put a negative sign in the middle, and is equal to what? Minus 14. So what's the next thing we do? We can then cross this one over because we're trying to solve our u. So crossing this one over, we'll be having that minus u square is equal to minus 14 minus 25 over 4. Now notice that everything here is carrying a minus sign, so I can just divide through by negative 1, and I have my u square is equal to 14 plus 25 over 4. So now I can proceed. I can find my LCM. LCM of 4 and 1 is 4. So we have that our u square is equal to, multiplying this, we have that 4 times 14 will be 56. Yeah. And then plus 25, everything over 4. So when we add this up, we have 81 over 4. So that's our u square. So we have that our u square is equal to 81 over 4. Now, what do we do next? We can find the square root of both sides. That will be that u is equal to the plus or minus square root of 81 over 4. And since we are saying that this is a perfect square, it will give us what? 9 over 2. So that's plus or minus 9 over 2. Now, for Po-Shen-Loh method, this plus or minus doesn't mean anything. We can just take either of them. We can take either it is plus 9 over 2 or minus 9 over 2. It doesn't really matter because what we'll do next. So what are we doing next? We bring this u value into our, remember these particular values we had, but this time around we will only consider this case. We'll only consider this. We're no longer considering the equal to sign again. So considering that, we have that what? That our x is equal to, we have 5 over 2 plus our u is now what? 9 over 2. I told you we don't want to know really, or so we have what? 5 over 2 minus 9 over 2. So that will do. And then therefore what do we have? Since they are all the same LCM, the same denominator, so we'll pick one, and then 5 plus 9 will be what? 14 over 2, which is equal to 7. Or we have what? The same thing again, 5 minus 9 will be what? Minus 4. That's minus 4 over 2, which is equal to what? Minus 2. So therefore we know that our x is equal to what? 7 or minus 2. And that's the answer. So let's take one more question and then we'll wrap it up for Po-Shen-Loh's method. So taking one more question, we have, let's move this board very well. Okay, so we have 2x squared plus 3x minus 8 is equal to 0. Now remember, is this a unity? No. So therefore, what do? We divide through by what? By 2. So dividing through by 2, we have, what do we get next? We have that 2 dividing everything here. So now it's 2. Cancel out 2 here. And therefore, we have x squared. Okay, also, we know that 2 will cancel out this one here. So it's remaining what? 4. So what do we have here? We have that x squared plus 3 over 2x minus 4 is equal to 0. Okay, so now we can proceed. So remember I told you, you get the half of b, so we have that your b divided by 2. And what's our b? Our b value here is 3 over 2. Dividing it by 2 again will now be what? 3 over 4. So what's the next part again? Our c value is what? Our c value is minus 4. So bring into that bracket sign. So we have our bracket sign to be what? We have it to be 3 over 4 plus u bracket 3 over 4 minus u is equal to what? Our c is what? Minus 4. Remember, putting your c as the value is equal to. So this is now a new equation we're now working with. So let's solve. Remember, this is a difference of two squares again. So what do we have? You take the square of the first part, which is 9 over 16. Let me put that very well. Let me write it very well. 9 over 16. And then you take the square of the second part, which is u squared, is equal to minus 4. Minus 4. Okay, so what's the next thing? Take this one over. That will be minus u squared is equal to what? Minus 4 minus 9 over 16. But remember, I told you that since everything here is negative, you can just make it to become positive. So let's take this out and let it become positive. Okay, so that's taking them outside, it can become positive. So this is now positive. So let's continue. So our denominator is still 1, and then we have that our u square is equal to our denominator will be 16. 16 multiplying 4 will be 64 plus 9, and that will be what? 64 plus 9 is 73 over 16. So we have therefore our u square is equal to 73 over 16. We can find the square root of both sides, which is u is equal to plus or minus square root of 73 over the square root of 16. Now I broke down this square root because I know that I cannot find the square root of 73 as a perfect square, but I can find this 16 because 16 is a perfect square. So this will be what? This will be still plus or minus square root of 73 over 4. Okay, so now bringing it into this particular stuff again, we have that our x is equal to what? Our x is equal to 3 over 4 plus our u. Our u now is what? 73 over 4 as the first one, or we have what? 3 over 4 minus 73 square root of 73 over 4. So now solving, what do we have? We have our x is equal to, sorry, let me put that very well. We have our x is equal to, now since they are both the same denominators, we pick one, and that's 4, and that will be 3 plus square root of 73 since they can't add up each other. Or we have, pick one again, that's 4, and that's 3 minus square root of 73 since they can't add up each other, and that's it. So we're done. So the only time you can proceed is if they're asking you to give your answers in decimals, or maybe they say 1 decimal place, 2 decimal place, then you know you have to use your calculator to solve for that square root of 73 and continue the solving. So but in other words, we can say we are done as long as they're not requiring of us to go that further. Okay, so this is how Po-Shen-Loh's method is, and I hope you enjoyed it. Now I would just like you to do a little bit of exercise for me. Tell me which method you prefer to use the most according to the level of hierarchy. So if you prefer factorization method most, you start with factorization, this, that, down to the last one. We've discussed 4 methods. We've discussed factorization, we've discussed completing the square, we've discussed quadratic formula, and then we've just done the Po-Shen-Loh's method. Remember, in factorization method, we talked about the fact that it can't solve every case, but it can solve some cases. But for completing the square, it can solve all cases. We have the quadratic formula method can solve all cases, and then the Po-Shen-Loh's method can solve all cases. So give me your best. Which one do you prefer to use most according to the level of hierarchy? So start from the one you prefer most down to the one you prefer less. Okay, so thank you for today for the class, and we'll go back to our indices which we've been doing, just trying to take some questions to solve.